Hello, I'm Kyle, and this is Give Pause Hobby, the channel where I take time to appreciate the things I love to fill my free time with. Welcome back to the State of the Hobby. I talk about what I've been up to, what's been on my mind, and just one topic in general, or rather in specific, for that month. All right, let's get into it. I have some new, big change to these categories. I'm combining two of them. The new games I've gotten and the games that have been on my mind, a lot of times those two intermingle. And I don't just want to relegate saying like, I got a game and I'm going to tell you about it next, or I got a game and I didn't play it. I'm just putting them together. So with that, you've been on my mind and table, or at least my doorstep. So I'm going to combine these categories here. Some new games that I've gotten: Bullet Star, Turncoats, Wonderland's War, and Spires and Hildegard. One of these months I'll talk about crowdfunding and my relationship with it now. I'm at a point now where I'm currently backing way fewer things, but I still have a long tail of games that are coming in. So I'm enjoying that part of it, looking forward to when it's a thinner trickle rather than a steady stream like it has been for a while now. But anyways, Bullet Star finally got the expansion to Bullet Heart, which I love, and the expansion is awesome. I've only played as a couple of the heroes or heroines and only against a couple of the bosses in solo mode. The first one I totally rolled, which felt great. Second one totally rolled me. So, you win, you lose, but you keep playing. Turncoats is beautiful and enigmatic and fun and head scratchy in all the same ways that The King is Dead is, but kind of more immediate because there are no cards. It 100% knocks it out of the park as to wanting to feel like an ancient game because it just has the board, the stones, and the rules. And yeah, it's super fun. I've pitched The King is Dead as a distillation of Pax Pamir, and I don't think Turncoats is a distillation of King is Dead. I think it's a different interpretation of this style of game in general, and I think it's super fun. Wonderland's War is beautiful and super fun as well. I slept on the Kickstarter, so I just got the retail edition in the mail, and have played it at 2 players. And then at 6 players, 2 players per team. So really 3 players, but they were double headers. And we'll talk about that more later on. I'll get back to that. Spires and Hildegard, I am really excited about this. It is the follow-up. It is the prequel to Spire's End, which I think is a really cool game that I have yet to fully get through. I'm hoping that Spire's End, Hildegard, which is solo or 2-player, and it's just more of kind of like a autumnal like romp. It's the lead up to what happens in Spire's End. And Spire's End, I do like the theme and just like how just utterly and immensely dark it is, but I think the Hildegard is really admirable for how it looks and feels as well. I've only read through the rule books and just flipped through the couple of the first cards, which are okay. I'm not spoiling anything for myself. And hopefully me and Kate will be playing that one soon. And then double hopefully that will inspire me to get back to Spire's End and maybe finally get through that one as opposed to fail at some point in time. Some other fun games have been on my mind. Shipwreck Arcana for the first time in a long time. This just came into my mind, brought it to a drill weekend, and cracked some skulls with that, and yeah, they really enjoyed it. And it's just a super clever game. It's the first time I've actually played it with the expansion cards in there. I've had them for a while, I just haven't had a chance to play it. And some of them are weird, but the game is awesome still. I finally got Copperdale to the table, which is a very thinky, very kind of min-maxy game based on, it's like a solo only roll and write. I'm not entirely sure why it can't be multiplayer, aside from maybe it just be a pain to manipulate the cards, because I can just you draw 3 cards and you can put them in your 3 different areas, and then the suit and the number dictate different things depending on where you put them. And so I guess with multiplayers that'd be kind of a pain, because it's more to grok, to like manipulate in your mind, than just numbers on dice or whatever. But it's super fun. I did really well, 19 points, and apparently 20 points and up is just like, you did it, man, way to go. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Spirit Island, Horizons, and regular this past weekend. Kids were out with time with my parents, and so I had a little bit of extra time, and I played some spirits that I'm not very good with, and had some fun with them. Well, one spirit I don't care for that much, Sharp Fangs. I still don't as much. I just prefer the way Mini Minds interacts with the beasts instead of Sharp Fangs. And then I tried this Finder of Paths Unseen. Yeah, it is. I'm still very bad at that spirit. I mean, it is not a spirit meant for solo play, but I'm also not a big enough brain to play non-solo Spirit Island, non-single spirit solo Spirit Island. And Horizons is super fun. There's a link somewhere around here to the video I did about what's in that box, how I see it as part of my collection, because I do own everything else Spirit Island, including I pre-own the forthcoming expansion, Nature Incarnate. So go check that out. And Wonderland's War is also on my list, but I combined these categories. I talked about it, and I'm going to talk about it here in What's Your Aim, Man? Talking about this thing right here. Bam! Yeah, I really need to do like backup tracks, so it's not just me doing poor karaoke to nothing, because then that's just bad singing. If it's not to a backing track, it can't be karaoke. And if it's not karaoke, you don't have as much cover for just being bad at it. So, but for right now, I've got what I've got. And what I'm talking about here is PumpCon. Or you know, friend cons in general, but PumpCon in specific. So we got the registry right here, PumpCon registry. We just had our 5th annual PumpCon, and I keep track of, you know, who's there, what games we played, who won, and when it took place. So this began as my birthday is a fall birthday, October 29th. And I know we have a couple other birthdays. Woo! Excuse me. First one of this morning. There's a couple other birthdays in the friend group we started this with that are roughly around mine, and it was a double intent here of, I don't really care so much about a birthday party. I honestly, if I could like sign away like a waiver that says I can't have any more birthday parties, but every year I will have like a day long like board game like festival, I would do that in a heartbeat. And that's kind of what this was, is a way for me to get people together. It wasn't on any of our birthdays, so we could all kind of claim it. But it was also me just looking at, that year is like, what do we want to do for my birthday? I'm like, I don't know, play board games. So PumpCon was born, and but the reason where it came from, I was invited to GeekCon, which predated my involvement by 15 years. So this was a group of friends in their area. It was originally all of them who grew up together, and then they have dispersed to different areas of the Midwest and some beyond. And over the years, they've invited some other people in. It's been, pretty limited in how often that happens, but because it happens 1 or 2 times a year, depending on the year, and these people, everyone who's ever done it is always on the email list for when it's happening, what games were played, inviting people to come out again, even if they financially or geographically can't make it. Pretty quickly, people who are friends of friends or whatever who are invited into it become like core members of GeekCon. And I just went into my first one 5 years ago and was blown away by how fun it was to just come in with this like singular purpose. Like we got there Friday night, we left Sunday morning, and it was like, we are staying at a person's house whose wife and kids went off to like go camping with their in-laws. And we're here to play games, drink a bunch of Mountain Dew, and just hang out. And that's what we did. And it was super fun. And so this was such an eye-opening experience, because I don't have a regular game group. Like, I don't have a weekly game night or anything, not yet at least. I'd love to at one point when my life isn't as crazy. But I always want to be playing games. But the problem is, when I'm always the one who will bring one or more games to wherever I have a gathering, just in case people want to play, or sometimes like people will be like, well, bring some games or whatever. There's lots of times when it gets to that point where one part of your brain is thinking, this is the time when I could introduce a game. The other part's like, I don't know, I think people are just enjoying talking. And then you get caught up in your head, or at least I do. Maybe that's just a me problem. But with this, it's just like, I'm just gonna come right out in the open. We are trying to get together for this purpose. Again, that's what game nights are. I just don't have that in my experience. So it's, I guess, more foreign than it really should be to me at this point. Anyways, so we did it 5 years ago. People had a blast, even though we didn't get through many games. I still had to find my sea legs as the like coordinator of this. But also, at the bottom, I always have what do I call it? Like honorary. So we'll have like our daughter or son, or my parents or my wife's mom who are watching the kids while this is happening. So some years are more. This is the first time we didn't have either of our kids around for it, which was obviously amazing, because as much as we love our kids, there's challenges that come from that, like kids wanting to come see the games or something that needs my or my wife's attention, like out of the blue. So yeah, it's was really fun to be able to completely dedicate our time to our friends and the games, and it was a blast. We've played it every year, including the years you might not imagine. So in 2020 was our first year where we did it outside. So for 2 years before, it was just in our house, where I made a table. So the table topper I'm probably showing you here was custom made by me to go on our normal, not very big kitchen table. And it specifically for PumpCon, so we could put games like Formula D on there and not be completely just like edged out, which I'm glad I did, because fast forward, now we have a game like Wonderland's War, which I'm also, I think, showing you a picture of here. On our normal table is quite tight. On the table topper is nice and roomy. So for 2 years is indoors. 2020 we were outdoors on the deck, and we played Pitch Car and Dusk City Outlaws. I ran a few hour not campaign, but a game for that. We did some pre-game work of like them choosing characters and things like that, and then ran through a scenario. And then I believe we just did, I don't have to believe, I can look right here. We did those two, and then Cash and Guns at the last part, and those were all things that we could be, again, out on the deck. It was beautiful, super warm day in October, and things that weren't super card intensive. For things, I had like plexiglass to put down on music stands for some things that were necessary. We just bought individual pizzas for the different like pods, the different family groups that were there, and because it's 6 people coming from 4 different like familial or household groups, and so we just got different pizzas and stayed apart from each other and played on the deck. And then last year we played in the garage. It was in early, like mid-November, and it was freezing. And we had some space heaters, which kind of did the trick. But this year was way nicer. I was in a short sleeve t-shirt the entire time, and it was totally. We actually had the garage door open for most of it until the bugs came out at night, and super fun. So from year to year, like I mentioned before, I've gotten better at jumping in and presenting games, and usually what I'll do, I'll try to find an opening in the conversation, not be a complete and total dictator of time. But when there's a lull or a spot where I can just interject, I'll say something like, what games are we thinking about? How about we quickly talk about how weighty of a game, how long of a game, what type of mechanics, so then I can get stuff started. Because I'm someone who loves watching YouTube or talking when setting up board games or tearing them down. I'm more than happy to multitask in that way. I'm the one who knows what needs to be set up anyways, and I'm a good multitasker at that. So we can be having this conversation while we're getting the next thing ready. And I've gotten better at that over time. So the amount of games played on these, the first year was 3. Second year was 5, but only 3 of them were with the full group. When Kate and I have a single game afterwards, we include that in the PumpCon running. Oh, the first year actually was just 2. Formula D we just played 2. We didn't actually play that until the 4th year, so last year. The third year was only 3. The last year was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was 6, and that was the first year we actually got to play Formula D with the group it was bought for, after I played with numerous others. And this year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But one of them was Wonderland's War, which is 3 hours long. So we've gotten better at getting more games to the table without, again, being just onerous about it. And it's a tricky thing because on one side, I'm like, well, do they want to talk? On the other side, I have times when, a length of conversation has gone by and someone turns to me and is like, aren't we going to do games? And just kind of like, aren't you getting stuff ready? Like, why aren't you? And realize like, oh, I missed my opportunity here. And so it's, again, tricky balance. If you're like me, sound off in the comments, because hopefully I'm not the only one. I don't think that I am. But stats, another thing about me, not just the social anxiety part, but I love stats of all shapes and sizes. And in BG stats, I do insert PumpCon as a location. So at a glance, I have the registry, but in BG stats, I have anything that's in a specific con. So I have GeekCon, PumpCon. Kate and I have FrostCon, where it's just a 2-player convention. We've only done one of those last year. Looking forward to another one this year. But then I can, at a glance, look at the games I've played in the BG Stats app, which I think is super cool, and it gives just kind of more like weight to the event, which was the secret sauce of GeekCon in the first place. It's just, hey, what are your availabilities for these weekends? Let's put some intent into making this happen, because we all wanted to, and not just like rely on like, oh, are we all here together? Do we all like games? I guess we could play a board game. No, just cut to the chase. We all love board games. Let's find a time to do it. And those are the friend cons that we have right now. And some highlights from this year absolutely has to be Wonderland's War. It was long, and I knew it was going to be crazy with 2 people a team. There's no way to play it 6 players aside from this version. But I also thought 2 things. One, having 2 people on a team might allow for more oversight over some of those little finicky rules, which was true. And 2, I knew it was going to be crazy with 2 people on each team. There are times when I was like, if it was just one player deciding whether or not to press their luck and draw a chip, it goes faster. But the conversations that came up were, it was a lot of fun. Honestly, the other one that sticks out, this was my first time playing Seven Wonders original. Kate and I have played a ton of Duel, but I'd never played Seven Wonders, and it is super fun and does exactly what it says on the tin. Plays at big player counts, and also since it's drafting, it all happens simultaneously. So wins all around. But so that's PumpCon. So let me know, do you have any? I've actually never been to a real convention. I've only been to these friend cons. So do you have any like regional or friend group or whatever cons that you've created or you're a part of? And if not, would you like to be in one? Like, honestly, that's the biggest thing. Like, be the change you want to see in the world. I know it's, eye rolly and all that sort of stuff, but it's true. I just was so impressed with how fun it was to be at GeekCon that we just made PumpCon, and I'm so glad that we did. Speaking of so glad, thank you for being here, listening to me yammer on about this. I was going to do 10 game challenge that I saw Max on Table Knots do, and I guess that'll be for next time because PumpCon is recent, so I did it. So thanks for taking a pause with Give Pause, and we will see you next time.